Okay, today's talk, I'm basically going to go through these kind of four pillars: the team, the partners, the land package, and the value. We think we got them all. So where we situated is up in the heart of the Klondike, just south of Dawson City. And we're chasing this guy. This guy was hunting placer about 100 years ago, in 1897. So the idea is that we're trying to track the sources of all this placer. So there was somewhere between 13 and 20 million ounces. Nobody really knows because they were putting a bunch on a boat and not telling anybody. So, but what's happening is you would think, like I come from the Timmins camp, where you're still looking for gold 100 years later and still finding it down 1,000 plus feet. Here, and we've produced all this placer gold, but there was never really any true hard rock source ever seen or found. So you can see the map, little inset on the left. It's that was what it looked like in 2007. There was hardly a claim. Most of them claims in blue there were, a bunch of them were mined back then. So there was nobody up there, but we were starting to actually find some physical evidence. And you could see back then in 2007 and 8, but you had the district to yourself. And you could see what happened by 2011, 12. There was over 50,000 claims staked in that district. So since then, we've had all the majors move into the Yukon in one way or another. So when the 2010-11 rush hit, there was over $500 million spent in the Yukon with the attack discovery, the white discovery, and the coffee. So I believe, I'm a prospector and I believe in the district. So I didn't fool around. And we ended up doing was, now can I go backwards? So what I did is I staked most of these claims. Like we staked over 26,000 claims out of the 50,000 in that portfolio. And I had it piecemeal to about 10 or 12 different juniors. But when the downturn hit, I got all the claim blocks back. So what I did is I sat on them, evaluated the ground, but knew I didn't really want to piecemeal it out again because I figured there's got to be at least one winner in here, high probability of 2 deposits, and we wouldn't be surprised at 3. So what I decided to do was, let's make a super company and put all our eggs in one basket and try to shop this, but with a business plan, not with a regular, let's go out and find the first discovery and then focus on that. What I said is, because in this package I have roughly $25 million worth of exploration that the previous operators paid for. But the big thing that I had was I had up at this point over 350,000 soils taken with the same assay, like assayed at the same lab, taken with the same method. We used to train the crew to take high quality soils. So that was the beauty of this. This was a consistent database that we could work with for another 30, 40 years. And so that's what I ended up doing. So we brought this model that we were going to look at each project individually and give it a few $100,000 up to $300,000 or $400,000 in each project. And the idea was, let's kiss all the frogs and figure out how many princesses we really do have in this, and then focus in on that. So we brought this to Agnico, and these guys loved it right off the bat. We showed it to a few people, but we liked Agnico because they actually had a really high quality exploration team that we could work with. So that was by 2016. In 2017, we approached Kinross, actually at the Zurich show here last year. And we asked them if we could actually buy my original white deposit back from them. And then they could become our shareholder partners also. So they actually went for it. And hence now we have 2 of the majors as our partners. And then the last little thing talks about how the government has decided to actually throw in a bunch of money into this resource gateway. And they're actually going to help make a haul road right to the coffee project, which goes through most of our claims. So this is kind of the big 30-year vision that we need some good access to this district. So here's our partners. This is the way the company's set up. Agnico 19.9, Kinross 19.9. Management, we own 25.4, and so we actually have a kind of a small float in a sense. But that was the idea, is that the uniqueness of this is we have the majors backing us up. So when we decided to bring Kinross in, we actually had to get Kinross and Agnico to shake hands and say, look, if we make a discovery, there's there's a couple things you got to do. One is you guys are probably both going to put it into production together because you own equal partnership in this company. But the other thing is they can't take us out. And that was kind of a stipulation of me putting all my eggs in one basket because that's what happened to Underworld when they got taken out by Kinross. It wasn't for the white, it was for this JP Ross that we're making a new discovery on as we speak. So the idea is I didn't want to lose control of the big portfolio. So they agreed to those terms, and now we have both the majors backing us up. The other part about this is the team. So that was a very unique situation. And what I ended up doing before this even all started, I went and got Jody Gibson, who was actually the VP that drilled off the original white discovery. So I got him in play working with us with the contract company called Ground Truth as we were developing this whole idea. The next guy to get into the play was Rob Carpenter. He was the CEO and the original guy I did the deal with the coffee project. So he understood the coffee intimately. So we have Jody on one side and Rob on the other side. Then the next spoke in the wheel that you need is the money guys. So we have Dave D'Onofrio from Power One and Dave Schmidt. So me and Dave go back a ways. So Dave's kind of the glue to the whole thing. So now we actually started having the whole team. So that's quite a critical part here. So everybody has their position, from Jody running the drill programs to me and Rob being an advisor to the Power One guys basically going to get the money for us. So this is the package. And this is what's unique from us, from everybody else, is we own 40% of the entire district. And our goal was, with this 15 million initial Agnico money, we call it, was to take 5 million a year and systematically work project by project. And what I tried to do was what the majors used to do, and I call it 1980 exploration. Ken Rise in the back here, and me and him worked together back in the early 80s. But it was when the majors actually looked at districts, had an exploration team, they had mines, they were financing the exploration, and they would do it by the book. But we've lost control in that in most of this junior market, mostly because the guys financing the juniors, I call them the coke freaks of our business. They just want instant gratification. They got no time to hang around and understand the district. So that's what I was trying to do as a prospector before selling the projects. But the idea is that our goal is to go in and evaluate projects and not quite kill them, because we know they're big soil anomalies. So such as we had projects that we drilled last year, 40 meters of 0.6 grams, so it's not in the money, but we're in the mineralized system. So it's not in, it didn't mark our category right now, but we'll be back there in 2 or 3 years. Because my point is, imagine owning 40% of the Timmins district. Would you let any claims go now? I highly doubt it. So especially with that kind of mineralization. So now the unique thing is we have all these projects to look at, and then we basically bump them up to stage 2 to stage 3. And we applied this new it's a new kind of exploration method called drones to drills that the contracting arm that I work with, that my wife runs, that we put in play, and that's pretty well dropped our exploration cost to 30 to 35% on the dollar compared to 2011. And that's why Agnico jumped in on this project right away, because they loved the whole concept here. So here's the value behind the company, or at least after the Kinross buyout, or when we got them to come in. And the idea is we got the old golden saddle back. And so our first thing was, when Underworld had it, they had it at 1.5 million ounces. Kinross, when reevaluated it, they brought it down to 1 million ounces economic. So we went in there last year, late in August of 2017, and we increased that resource to about 1.3. So this year we went in and we actually targeted the down dip extension and hit some nice stuff. But the goal was to actually find more ore on the property. Agnico's kind of marker is 2 million ounces. So we're pretty sure that we've got this well past 1.5 this year with this more drilling that we've done. But what we ended up doing was we ended up starting to find, so here's the Golden Saddle. We ended up starting to find some more ore, and it's not, I guess we're calling it the Ryan showing or the Ryan surprise. But you could see some of these grades, like 6 meters of 20 grams and 13 meters of 5. And that's what Agnico wanted to see, some high grade stuff. And this is Golden Saddle style ore, because we have 2 styles of ore, Arc and Golden Saddle. But Agnico wanted to see this. So they're not afraid to go underground mining. So we have more holes to come from that still coming. But that was a new hit there this year. And at the same time, we have the Golden Saddle West that we made some, 24 meters of almost 2 grams, very close to the original pit. So we've got some, I think we have more holes to come on this one also now. But the idea is that we're starting to smell some more ore, and that's what Agnico really likes. So if we got this close to 1.6, gives me another season to get this closer to 2. So we're well on our way to that. And this was the fun one this year, the Vertigo. This project is about 20 kilometers south or north of the White. And this was a part of the original Kinross package. And we're just following up on soil anomalies. And they started actually finding a bunch of high-grade chutes in quartz vein systems, but they're not all quartz veins. And these were some of the, once we did our magic, this drones to drills, these were some of the first initial, basically, stuff we were pulling out. And it was the high grade, 3 meters of 56, 15 meters of 9, 24 meters of 23 grams. So that's probably not true width, but this was like bang, bang, bang. We're on the hunt because we have these special tools that we're using to hunt these things down with. But this is a very, very unique situation. And it's right there in the placer, all this placer. The guys are mining right below us. So this is the first evidence that I'm getting excited about, that not what probably produced the placer in the Klondike, because it's quite a few miles away, but if you took an ore zone that's 1,000 feet by 10 feet wide and went down 300 feet, 100 meters, you'd have over at 2 ounces, you'd have over 300,000 ounces dumping into this creek, because a lot of this is visible gold and it's free milling, looks like. So the idea is that this was the first that this is possibly what could have actually produced some of this placer gold in the Klondike. It's hiding, like it's literally, like, so our soils are 50 meters apart and we're getting VG and rocks in between our soil sampling that responded to nothing. So we actually moved to 10-meter soil sampling across this project just to map it out even that much better. So this is a kind of a fun discovery that, it's got me all pumped, because this is hiding, and now this is the first evidence that we might, start giving us clues to other things. And it's got a distinct geochem signature. So the idea is that we have a whole bunch of projects still to follow up. The Betty, we haven't even talked about that, but that was, sitting on trend with the coffee project. So we have some holes to come to announce on that one. So, and that's kind of the goal of us. So we're in year 2 of our 3-year program of the Agnico deal. So next year we have another basically $5 million to spend out there hunting. We just raised on a bought deal a couple of weeks ago, 15 million. So I think we got about 21 million in the treasury right now. So the idea is that we're going to continue on this basically systematic hunt. But the beauty that I was able to do with this budget was, like I say, we're tackling this like a major. So we hired PhD geophysics guys, a big high regional structure guy. We're mapping the big scale to the small scale. And that's what I'm saying. We're trying to do this like the majors used to do it. And that's what, it's kind of required for this district to look at it as a big scale. So our next year's program, we'll have another, a good program. This is that little GT probe that we use with ground truth quite a bit. There's some of our resources, but we're gonna keep this thing moving here as we go along. So, and that's pretty well about it. So for that story.
Thank you very much, Shawn.